Welcome to World News on ITVS. I am Gift Ambrose. The United States has imposed entry restrictions on more Nigerians for undermining the democratic process during the African Nation 2023 election cycle, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said on Monday. The action is the latest in a series of visa restrictions imposed on Nigerian individuals in recent years. Nigeria's election tribunal this month was to begin hearing opposition's petitions challenging President-elect Bola Tinubu's victory in a disputed February presidential vote, according to court records. Tinubu, from the ruling All Progressive Congress Party, defeated his closest rivals, Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party's Peter Obi, who have alleged fraud and have launched a court challenge. Atiku and Obi want the tribunal to invalidate Tinubu's victory, arguing that the vote was fraught with irregularities, among other criticisms. There have been numerous legal challenges to the outcome of previous Nigerian presidential elections, but none has succeeded. More than 3.1 million people have been forced to flee their homes amid an increasingly desperate humanitarian situation in war-torn Sudan. Human rights groups are warning of widespread ethnic violence, attacks on civilians and rampant sexual violence against women and girls as the warring factions, the Sudanese Armed Forces (SAF) and the Rapid Support Forces (RSF) continue to battle for control of the northeastern African country. The International Organization for Migration (IOM) reported on Wednesday that more than 2.4 million have been internally displaced in Sudan, while 737,801 people have crossed the border into neighboring countries. The toll on the civilian continues to grow, according to the latest report from the UN's Office for Humanitarian Affairs (OCHA), which states that 414,625 individuals comprising 483,672 households have been displaced, an increase of 183,102 individuals compared to last week. The number of refugees fleeing to neighboring countries, mainly Egypt, Chad, and South Sudan, is also increasing, with an estimated 750,000 civilians leaving Sudan entirely. The World Food Programme, WFP, has said that 20,000 refugees crossed into Chad just last week, adding that many of them are seriously wounded and reported being deliberately targeted in an increasing ethnic dimension to the violence. Hundreds of homes have been destroyed by a fire in a poor neighborhood of the South African port city of Durban. One person is known to have died in the blaze that tore through the Kennedy Road informal settlement early on Sunday morning, but there are fears that more bodies could be found. Video footage shows the twisted remains of corrugated iron sheets used to build the shacks amid the smoldering debris, while people try to salvage their belongings. The cause of the fire is not yet known. However, some eyewitnesses reported that it started when two people who had been drinking got into argument. A South African Red Cross spokesperson described it as a disaster and estimated that about 1,000 shacks may have been destroyed, leaving some 3,000 people homeless. Siabonga Hitawayo told newsmen that the Red Cross had been distributing hot meals, mattresses and blankets to those affected, and he appealed to the public for more donation. At least 40 people in South Korea have died after a weekend of severe rains caused widespread flooding and landslide across the country. The disaster has prompted calls from the President Yoon Suk-yeol to overhaul how the country combats extreme weather arising from climate change. On Monday, the nation was reeling from a tunnel tragedy where at least 13 people died in their vehicles after becoming trapped by flood waters. The full death toll is still unknown. At least 15 vehicles, including a bus, were trapped in the underpass on Saturday, when flood water from a nearby Best River bank poured in. Police said they would launch an investigation into the fatal flooding of the underpass. Some 6,400 residents were evacuated early Saturday after the Gwosan Dam in North Chungcheong began to overflow. A number of low-lying villages near the dam, as well as many of the roads connecting them, were submerged, leaving some residents trapped in their homes. President Yoon Suk-yeol on Monday vowed to completely overhaul how the country responds to such extreme weather events. President Yoon has ordered military deployments to managing the aftermath of downpours across the country. He also announced the designation of hard-hit areas as special disaster zones eligible for state support. Here's the report. Two people have died after an attack on the bridge linking the occupied Crimean Peninsula to Russia. The state media reported that the head of Crimea's parliament blamed Ukraine for the incident, but Kyiv is yet to officially comment. The Kerch Bridge was opened in 2018 and enables road and rail travel between Russia and Crimea, Ukrainian territory occupied by Moscow's forces since 2014. Russia's transport ministry said the bridge support were not damaged. The ministry said investigations were ongoing, but unconfirmed reports said explosions were heard early today. Vyacheslav Glaglov, governor of the western Russian region of Belgorod, said in a telegram statement that two people, the parents of a young girl, had died in the incident, which he simply labeled an emergency. Unverified photos posted by the spokesperson for the Odessa military administration showed debris on the road across the bridge and damaged railings. Grey Zone, a Russian telegram channel with links to the Wagner group, said the bridge was likely damaged by an underwater drone launched into the bridge by Ukraine. And a source within Ukraine's intelligence service, the SBU, said Russian service that it had carried out an attack alongside the Navy's special forces. Iranian police are resuming controversial patrols to ensure women obey dress code and cover their hair in public, state media reports. The morality police will return to the streets to enforce Iran's hijab laws, a spokesperson said on Sunday. It comes 10 months after a young woman, Mahsa Amini, died in custody following her arrest in Tehran for allegedly breaking the dress code. However, Islamic hardliners have been demanding that the patrols be resumed for some time. Under Iranian law, which is based on the country's interpretation of Sharia, women must cover their hair with a hijab, headscarf, and wear long, loose-fitting clothing to disguise their figures. During the patrols, officers will first warn women who are not complying with the rules, police spokesperson Saeed Motazeh Mahdi said, as quoted by Headline Tasnim news agency. In the month following the protests, many women stopped wearing hijabs altogether. It was the biggest outright challenge to the rule of the clerics in Iran since the 1979 revolution. But in turn, the Iranian authorities brought in stiffer punishments, including forcing businessmen to close if they did not comply with the hijab laws. Although the protests drew out huge numbers of Iranians, some people still staunchly support the strict dress code. In response to Iran's violent crackdown on protesters, the UK and other Western countries imposed sanctions on the morality police and other top security figures last year. Here's the report.
Hard for the regime to be detained for not wearing her hijab according to the country's strict modesty laws. Her death triggered a nationwide wave of anti-regime protests. Hundreds were arrested in a brutal police crackdown and 7 were executed. Recently, the demonstrations have died down, but single acts for civil disobedience took over the protest movement. Like here, women in the streets without headscarves breaking the law. The Islamic Republic appeared to at least tolerate many of these provocations, although this was not an official policy change. But the protests against the compulsory hijab in the Islamic Republic were about much more than women's rights. To many, they were about the toppling of the Iranian regime.
They're not wearing the hijab as an act of rebellion. If they are heard, they will be in favor of the hijab.
Many think that new level of confidence among the people will make it hard for the regime to go back to its old practices.
Do you think the morality police can prevent women from not wearing a hijab? They cannot impose it like before. The number of people who do not obey is too high now. They cannot handle all of us. The last thing they can do is use violence and force against us. They cannot do it.
On Sunday, Iranian actor Mohammad Sadeghi was arrested in his home. He had released a reaction video in which he responds to a clip which showed a female officer holding a woman against the wall over her not wearing the hijab. He live-streamed his arrest, causing a stir on social media. But on Sunday evening too, in the city of Rasht, north of Tehran, people gathered reportedly to prevent the morality police from arresting 3 women, indicating that the Iranian regime is likely to have a hard time cutting back some of the liberties people thought they had.
Welcome back. And now on entertainment stories. Twitter has lost almost half of its advertising revenue since it was bought by Elon Musk for $44 billion last October. Its owner has revealed. He said the company had not seen the increase in sales that had been expected in June, but added that July was a bit more promising. Mr. Musk sacked about half of Twitter's 7,500 staff when he took over in 2022 in an effort to cut costs. Rival app Threads now has 150 million users, according to some estimates. Its inbuilt connection to Instagram automatically gives the Meta design platform access to a potential 2 billion users. After laying off thousands of employees and cutting cloud service bills, Mr. Musk said Twitter was on track to post $3 billion in revenue in 2023, down from $5.1 billion in 2021. The development is the latest sign the aggressive cost-cutting measures have not been enough to ignite a return of advertisers who fled after changes to its content moderation rules. However, Megan Nadar, the former head of partnership at Snap and Meta, which owns the new Twitter rival Threads, said the company had been struggling prior to Mr. Musk's buyout. Linda Yaccarino, previously head of advertising at NBC Universal, was taken on as chief executive of Twitter in June, a move suggesting advertising sales are still a priority for the company. Ms. Yaccarino has said Twitter plans to focus on video, creator, and commerce partnerships. It is said to be in the early talks with political and entertainment figures, payment services, and news and media publishers. And now in sport. Argentina forward Lionel Messi has signed for American side Inter Miami on a deal that runs until the end of 2025. The 7-time Ballon d'Or winner, 36, left French champions Paris Saint-Germain at the end of the 2022-2023 season. Inter Miami co-owner David Beckham said the signing was a dream come true. Messi will be available to play for Miami against Liga MX side Cruz Azul on 21st July in the opening match of League's Cup. He will play alongside former Barcelona teammate Sergio Busquets, who has also signed for Inter Miami until 2025. Messi won the last of his 7 Ballon d'Or awards for the world's best player in 2021 and could win it again this year after leading Argentina to World Cup success in Qatar in 2022. He scored 32 goals in 75 games for PSG and ended last season with 16 goals and 16 assists in Ligue 1. Messi joined the French side in 2021 after spending 21 years with Barcelona. Messi is Barcelona's record scorer with 672 goals and won 10 La Liga titles, 4 Champions Leagues and 7 Spanish Cups. Meanwhile, Busquets joins Inter Miami after spending his whole career at Barca. The 35-year-old won 9 La Liga titles, 3 Champions League trophies and 7 Copa del Rey finals. And with this, we conclude the world news on ITVS. I am Gift Ambrose. Thanks for watching.